The slums in the imperial capital were the darkest corners of the empire. Seedy, good, devious, and all other kinds of people mixed in here, along with the down shacks painted a perfectly wretched image. Any self-respecting man who had some money on the side would never choose to live here. Only those living from one day to the next and the truly poor stayed here, waiting for the day that would rob them of their lives. Yet in the worst corner of the slums was a courtyard the people feared to the point of being afraid to step through its doors. Even if the vilest and most sinister man was to wander by happenstance here, he would be warned to leave this house be. This courtyard was unoccupied, but at night, there were eerie whispers coming from it. Some braved to investigate, but it was as if their traces in this world vanished the moment they stepped foot inside. Recently, some bone-tempering and even a profound heaven expert charged in, fearing no evil. Afterwards, well, there was no news. They were gone all the same. From that moment, the courtyard became a taboo, avoided by the strong and weak alike. On a full moon night, when the slums had turned unusually quiet, the people had gone home earlier and as far away from the demonic courtyard as possible. But it was then that a faint lantern lit up in the courtyard. It was akin to ghost fire, flickering on and off. In a ruined room of the courtyard, an elderly with white temples sat in a pleased manner on a tutor's chair, waving a goose-feathered fan. His half-lidded eyes flashed here and there, and his mouth was twisted at the corners. It was as if the world's suffering and happiness were beneath him. Two old men stood behind, one with black hair and the other with white hair. Their eyes were closed, but their powerful auras identified them as experts, preventing any living creature from approaching 100 meters around them. Even a harmless beetle would find its tiny heart reeked with fear. Whoosh! A sound broke the silence and a black-clothed man suddenly appeared outside the room. He had a bamboo hat that hid his features. The sitting old man stopped fanning and smiled. "Valley Lord, how is it progressing?" The bamboo-wearing man was Hell Valley's Valley Lord, Yuanshan. Sighing, Yuanshan shook his head. A dozen years of painstaking effort was ruined. The Emperor ordered for Hell Valley to stay away from Windgaze City. The same goes for the other houses. He must have sensed something. Oh. The old man raised an eyebrow with a smile. The Emperor is planning on enacting the secret pearl order? My guess is yes. Yuanshan's face grew angry. They got luck on their side last time, but next time, it won't be so simple. Emperor wants to raise the 8th house, but we shall see if the clan can live to see that day. Ha ha ha, Valley Lord, ease your anger. A loss is a loss. Why make excuses? The old man was still calm, yet his words were sharp and filled with disdain. Hell Valley is one of the 7 noble houses, yet it can't even deal with 3 common clans. The time of its fall must be close at hand. Yuanshan snapped, his power exploding. Peak profound heaven cultivation smashed the windows to splinters. He unleashed all of it to pressure the old man. Zhuge Changfeng, you were the one who told me of the contents of the secret pearl order. It was also you who said the Emperor wants to help in the rise of the 8th house. The dozen years plan also came from you. So how can you speak like this? Yuanshan bellowed, go to hell. The smile never left the old man's face, still sitting calmly and fanning slowly. Boom! Just when the pressure was drawing near Zhuge Changfeng, the black and white elders behind him opened their eyes. At that moment, one's eyes flashed black while the others flashed white. A ripple echoed outwards and clashed with Yuanshan's display of power, creating a jarring sound. The entire slum shook. Yuanshan felt a sweetness in his throat and spat blood as his face paled. The 2 elders closed their eyes again, while Zhuge Changfeng swayed the fan like nothing had happened, still sporting that ever-present smile. Yuanshan watched the black and white elders incredulously. Yin-yang elders? Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Valley Lord, you sure is knowledgeable. These seniors haven't shown up over the past century. I find it amazing that you still recognize them. Grinding his teeth in anger, Yuanshan panted while also spitting blood now and then, but the look he had when he turned to the elders was now one of fear. You are worthy of being Tianyu's #1 sage, 4 Pillars' leader, Prime Minister Zhuge. To be able to make these monsters leave their mountain, not even that Feng Qiubai from the Divine Dragons can compare to you. Ha ha ha, Valley Lord Yu is exaggerating. I am not worthy of such a title. I do not dare face the imperial family in the open just yet. Zhuge Changfeng let out a short laugh, but the confidence he exuded was unshakable. Yu Wanshan snorted and muttered, Prime Minister Zhuge is as modest as he is arrogant. Who in the Tianyu Empire can match your power? Not even the imperial family can. Sigh, I can see why you failed in Wingay's city. In this world, strength and weakness aren't obvious at a glance. Zhuge Changfeng sighed as he looked at the sky. Furthermore, I am not the #1 sage in Tianyu. If not you, then who? That person above me. Zhuge Changfeng pointed upward with a grave expression. Yu Wanshan disdained, you're talking about that senile emperor? Senile? Zhuge Changfeng chuckled, I've been a prime minister in the imperial court for 40 years now, and I still can't read him. Valley Lord Yu, go back. Make sure to not cause any further trouble. Zhuge Changfeng swayed his fan as his countenance went back to normal. Be careful to not give that old man the perfect chance to remove you for good. Humph, the imperial family's power is hardly enough to deal with my Hell Valley. Yu Wanshan grinned, but when he saw the cold look in Zhuge Changfeng's eye, he didn't continue. He just cupped his hands and vanished in the night. After Yu Wanshan left, Zhuge Changfeng took a deep breath and looked to the heavens. Your Majesty, what is your plan? What is the secret pearl order? 3 months later, in the misty forest at the foot of Black Wind Mountain, Zhuo Fan stood near a frigid blood pool, holding a gourd. His hands performed signs and red dots flew from the pool into the gourd. A smile tugged at Zhuo Fan's face as he watched the wiggling red dots. This blood pond was something Zhuo Fan made to raise the frigid pool snow worm. Though, its name should more aptly be frigid pool bloodworm. Zhuo Fan used a secret art from the 9 Serenities secret records to train this particular demonic creature. So it not only retained the parasitic ability of the frigid pool snow worm, but it also connected to Zhuo Fan through telepathy. It could now work in tandem with him in performing a secret and evil magic art from the 9 Serenities secret records, the blood curse. The blood curse was a demonic cultivator's way of controlling his men. Once he put the blood curse on someone, they had to obey him for life. If not, the blood curse would flare up and the victim would die of blood explosion, a cruel and savage ending. But the blood curse had a fatal flaw. If the target was stronger than the caster, the later would be devoured. This wasn't anything good for Zhuo Fan. But now that Zhuo Fan had the bloodworm, this flaw could be eliminated. Since the bloodworm lived in the target's body, they would never be able to remove the blood curse. With this special demonic creature, Zhuo Fan would be in control of a large group of experts to assist him. If anyone heard of this, they'd come to kill Zhuo Fan themselves, even radiant stage experts. This demonic creature was an abomination, an affront to heaven. Any listener would shiver hearing one could make any expert into a slave. With a maniac grin on his face, Zhuo Fan took the gourd filled with bloodworms and left Misty Forest. He performed a hand sign and the forest's fog turned bloody, barring any entry. This was his rearing grounds. Why would he ever let another find it? Stashing the gourd in his ring, Zhuo Fan returned to Black Wind Mountain. On his way, he paid attention to every grass, every tree to make sure all was in order. Over the past 3 months, besides the imperial family sending thousands of spirit stones and hundreds of pills, the Veiled Dragon Pavilion also sent 2,000 spirit stones. He had enough spirit stones on hand that he could flaunt his array grandmaster's skills. Plus with the natural array here, he could still set up some decent defensive array even without such an amount of spirit stones. To the east of Black Wind Mountain was the Azure Dragon position. Under the wood attribute. It was a place filled with vitality. As such, Zhuo Fan set up a 5th grade array, Poison Dragon Array. Poisonous thickets grew inside the array and the miasma above them would never scatter. Even a profound heaven expert would find it hard to escape with his life. To the west was the White Tiger position under the metal attribute. It was a place filled with sharp and overgrown plants. Zhuo Fan set up a 5th grade array, Dazzling Gold Array. 9 suns shined brightly within the array in every direction that no one could walk with their eyes open. Each ray of golden light was like a sharp sword, capable of robbing people of their lives, yet incorporeal. To the south was the vermilion bird position of the fire attribute, filled with burning chi. Zhuo Fan set the 5th grade array, black flame array. The fires within it were demonic flames that corroded bones. When it entered one's body, it would be hard to remove, and it wouldn't stop gnawing until the target was burned to ashes. To the north was the black tortoise position of the water attribute, a place filled with piercing chills. Zhuo Fan set up the 5th grade array, ice shadows array. Howling winds blew within the array's territory, forming endless illusions. Anyone who entered it would lose their way easily and freeze to death under the bone-piercing coldness that seeped into the victim's body. Zhuo Fan didn't tell anyone about the 4 new arrays. But since today was the day of his departure, he had to give the array's method of control to those he trusted. "Young miss, come with me." Zhuo Fan beckoned Luo Yunchang. She was unclear as to the reason, but she followed nonetheless. She was filled with glee as she saw so many things brought from the imperial family over the past few days. Especially with 2 elders standing watch, Luo clan was becoming stronger day by day. She was so moved that she was lost for words. It got so far that she even let Zhuo Fan's disappearance for these past 3 months slide. "Steward Zhuo, is there something?" Luo Yunchang smiled as they entered a small room. Zhuo Fan closed the windows and doors without replying. Her thoughts started going in a particular direction and her face flushed. "Zhuo Fan, what are you trying to do?" Luo Yunchang was bashful. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan began, "I'm leaving." "What?" Luo Yunchang stood there in shock. She had a face of complete disbelief, wondering if she had heard him wrongly. Only when Zhuo Fan repeated was she certain. "Why, Luo clan is growing and is already the #1 clan in Wingay City. Why do you want to leave?" "For Luo clan's safety." Zhuo Fan's tone was grave. "Luo clan is safe, for now. And there's no other clan around to mess with it. But remember what we had to do in exchange for all this. We accepted the imperial family's vague secret pearl order and offended the 7 noble houses Hell Valley. As for Veiled Dragon Pavilion, if we do not rise to the level of the 7 houses, they will change their stance with us. Then we need you even more. What will we do without you?" Luo Yunchang teared up, her heart was unwilling to let him go. In a blink, a glittering tear fell. Wiping her tears away with a gentle touch, Zhuo Fan said, "Fatty was right about one thing, a clan's foundation is strength. I am leaving now to bring back experts for the Luo clan, to protect our future. This is the control method of the 4 arrays around Blackwind Mountain. Only you must use it. If I'm not back in time, you can activate the arrays to deal with any trouble that arises. These are 4 5th grade arrays, plus the Wraith array in the Misty Forest. It should defend you for a good while." Zhuo Fan gave a jade slip to Luo Yunchang, who accepted it in tears. She asked softly, "How long will you be gone?" Sighing, Zhuo Fan shook his head, "I don't know. But I'll be back as soon as I can." He wasn't leaving just to recruit experts, but also to search for the Heavenly Emperor's remnant Long Jiao talked about, Lightning Canyon. At any given time, raising one's power was the most basic way to guarantee one's safety. "All right, go now. Send Captain Pang and Yunhai in." Nodding, Luo Yunchang left but stopped to kiss Zhuo Fan. He froze for a moment and watched her leave with a deep look. Luo Yunchang blushed but didn't turn around as she mumbled, "Come back soon." When the words came, she was already gone. Not a moment later, Captain Pang brought Luo Yunhai over. Even they were shocked that Zhuo Fan was leaving. "Silly kid, you're the only man of the Luo clan. Your sister will have to rely on you in the future. You must act like a true clan head who bears the Luo clan's responsibilities." Zhuo Fan patted Yunhai's shoulder. Luo Yunhai nodded while sobbing. Turning to Captain Pang, Zhuo Fan's hand flashed and revealed a jade slip. But when Captain Pang was about to take it, Zhuo Fan clenched his fist. Captain Pang looked at him in doubt. Zhuo Fan stared hard at him. Pang Yu, do you remember what Long Kuei said? She is right, with your talent, you'll only be a qi condensation cultivator at best. Captain Pang's face darkened, his hand shivered and withdrew a bit. But, Zhuo Fan's tone turned grave, nothing is set in stone. I have on me a way to change your body anew, to gain incredible power. But the terror you will experience would be worse than death and the pain unimaginable. Are you willing? Captain Pang was stunned, then he was overjoyed. Truly? Nodding, Zhuo Fan raised the jade slip. This is a mid-profound ranked demonic method, wraith art. It is unlike other cultivation methods. It is a cultivation method for the body, ignoring one's talent for cultivation or his constitution. Just that cultivating it will make your life a living hell. It's no different from being boiled alive. And once you start, you can never stop or your soul will perish. Captain Pang licked his dry lips, yet he wasn't afraid, his eyes only held excitement. No worries. As long as I can become strong, no torment shall best old Pang. Captain Pang snatched the jade slip as he shouted. Zhuo Fan reminded him, the horrors you will experience from cultivating it aren't something you can fathom. Maybe you will be under such a pain that your mind will collapse and die in the end. This is a mid-profound ranked cultivation method, matching a high-profound ranked cultivation method, but with the process being so excruciating, many great demonic cultivators never even dared to touch it. Choose wisely. Waving his hand, Captain Pang's eyes flickered. Brother Zhuo, old Pang's only torment in this life was to see clan head die before me and unable to stop it. Now, my greatest wish is to protect young miss and young master. Captain Pang looked gratefully. Brother Zhuo, thank you for giving me this chance to have no more regrets. Zhuo Fan's heart shivered as he nodded. His eyes held respect. The next time we see each other, I hope to see a powerful old Pang and not a corpse. Ha ha ha, no worries. I am stubborn, not one to die from just this. Captain Pang laughed and squeezed Zhuo Fan in a bear hug with moist eyes. Brother, come back soon. Luo clan won't be the same without you. Patting Zhuo Fan's shoulder, Captain Pang left with Luo Yunhai. Per Zhuo Fan's instructions, Lei Yuding came soon after. Miss Lei, how is the task I gave you? Zhuo Fan smiled. Lei Yuding blushed with a nod. Brother Zhuo, the 610-year-old children you asked me to gather are almost here. They all are high talents and await your teachings. Zhuo Fan eyed her then nodded. How did you know that I wanted to teach them? Lei Yuding spoke with confidence. I know you too well to believe that you helped those orphans out of the goodness of your heart. So I guess you wanted to train them as Luo clan's guards and make me their leader. At her words, Zhuo Fan recalled something and sighed. Goodness? I once raised an orphan out of kindness and look where it got me. Didn't he betray me in the end? Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed coldly at that point, scaring Lei Yuding. Miss Lei. Zhuo Fan held a jade slip. This is a mid-spirit ranked cultivation method, elusive shadow art. Cultivate it and then give it to those you trust to form the shadow core, protecting the clan in the dark. Begin with the 600 children the same way I taught you. Use the worst of them as guards, the average for the shadow core, and hand the best among them over to Captain Pang to train them in secret. Pass him my word, he'll understand. Lei Yuding took the jade slip with a blank look, then stared at Zhuo Fan, her heart uneasy. Why not do it yourself? I'm leaving. What? Lei Yuding asked. Why? Zhuo Fan was forced to retell his reasons. Lei Yuding nodded, but before she went out the door, she pecked Zhuo Fan's cheek. He was floored, watching her dash away in a blink. What is going on? Do all women like to peck? Next was Lei Yuntian's turn. Zhuo Fan explained to him his affairs and Lei Yuntian took his instructions to heart in an honest manner. Although he was the Grand Elder, he was clear Zhuo Fan controlled everything. Elder Lei. Zhuo Fan took out another jade slip. This is the profound ranked martial art I recorded after merging the 3 clans' martial arts, Thunderwind Sweeping Dragon Art. Since this is part of the Imperial family's secret pearls order, this will be the Luo clan's best martial art on the surface. As the Grand Elder, you need to be diligent in practicing it. Lei Yintian raised an eyebrow but nodded. Zhuo Fan put an emphasis on the words, on the surface, making it clear he had other high-ranked martial arts that the imperial family was unaware of, his secret weapons. A day may come when the imperial family might discover that the 8th house they raised was out of their control. But at that time, it would already be too late. Zhuo Fan was young, but his wisdom and shrewdness drew the old man's admiration. Rest assured, Steward Zhuo, I will be the best Grand Elder there is. Lei Yintian laughed, reaching an understanding with Zhuo Fan. Even without Zhuo Fan's reminder, he was clear what it meant to stand close to a ruler, and that the imperial family wasn't to be trusted. But Zhuo Fan gave this old man the nerve to tangle with this behemoth. Right, Steward Zhuo, what of Kai clan's father and son? Lei Yintian frowned. It's already been 3 months since the merger of the 3 clans. But I still feel that the Kai clan is of a different thought, always acting suspiciously. The Blackwind Mountains guards have people from the Kai manor. I fear. Let them. Zhuo Fan waved with a smile. The Kai clan is part of the Secret Pearl Order. If we deal with them, we'll earn the imperial family's ire. But if they betray us first, he. Lei Yintian's eyes flashed with a nod. You're amazing, Steward Zhuo, to plan so far ahead. Zhuo Fan squinted as killing intent filled his eyes. On the morning of the 2nd day, Zhuo Fan left Blackwind Mountain all by himself. On the mountain peak, Luo Yunchang, Lei Yuding, and Lei Yuntian along with other Luo clan members watched him leave. All except Kai clan's duo. But in the forest halfway up the mountain, Kai Rong and his son watched Zhuo Fan's retreating figure with cold eyes. Humph, without this wretched punk, Luo clan will fall from grace. Kai Shouting snorted, that stinky girl, Luo Yunchang, made eyes with Zhuo Fan every single day, not sparing me even a glance. With Zhuo Fan gone, Blackwind Mountain is ours. Let's see her act haughty now. Sigh, one must give credit to Zhuo Fan for his rare talent. He has Veiled Dragon Pavilion on his left and Third Prince on his right, while he himself has the power to shake the 3 clans. All of Blackwind Mountain knows the true clan head of this merged clan is him. Kai Rong shook his head. The most unfortunate thing is that he chose to be against us. Since he is leaving, we might as well take everything back. Dad, what do we do? Kai Shouting asked. Shaking his head, Kai Rong said, don't be hasty. With Zhuo Fan gone, the Luo clan is nothing. The Lei clan is our true enemy. We need to ally ourselves and become stronger than the Lei clan. In the shadow of a large forest, a black-robed figure stood on the precipice of a mountain. His eyes took in the view of a large city gate with 3 golden words inscribed on it, Blue Expanse City. Raising the corner of his mouth, the black-robed man left as the wind scattered 2 piles of black dust. 15 minutes later, the man arrived before the city gates. Hold, where's your pass? With a clank, 2 city guards crossed their spears before the man as they released their 6th-layer chi condensation cultivation. Taking out a metal tablet with the serene character inscribed on it, the black-robed man let them see it. The guards nodded and let him pass. Enter. The black-robed man quickened his pace, but after 100 meters, he turned his head at the guards, eyeing them with disdain. Utterly useless. The man raised his head and exposed his face. It was Zhuo Fan. It had been a month since he left Luo clan, and this city was his first destination, Blue Expanse City. This place was Hell Valley's domain. Just how Veiled Dragon Pavilion placed its guards in the Windgaze City, so did Hell Valley in the city. To avoid anyone recognizing him, Zhuo Fan put on a black robe. He braved through this deadly danger because he was left with no other choice. Who told the spiritual beasts to gather on the All-Beast mountain range near the Blue Expanse City? This was also why the security was so tight in the city. Be it righteous or demonic cultivators, there were other external means to increase one's power besides the hard and arduous method of cultivation. Spiritual weapons, demonic treasures, spirit animals, demonic creatures, these were all external means but of significant importance. At the time of peril, it could save one's life. The late elder of Hell Valley was a good example. Condor Jian Fan's soul-devouring crow had the purple lightning gold eye and could push back Veiled Dragon Pavilion's 3 elders' joint attack. Long Jiu's 3rd grade spiritual weapon was another, helping him push back 2 Hell Valley's elders with just a sword. It was obvious how important these external means were to cultivators. Spiritual beasts could be turned into demonic creatures or spirit animals. Righteous cultivators tamed them into spirit animals, while demonic cultivators tamed them into demonic creatures. Zhuo Fan's blood infant, which was born naturally, was an exception. The Blue Expanse City was taken by Hell Valley during the founding of the Tianyu Empire. As such, any cultivator wanting to get his spirit animal or demonic creature would have to obtain Hell Valley's approval. And Hell Valley used this as a pretext to set up a checkpoint half a mile around it to confirm everyone's identities, allowing entry to only those with a pass. But how could Zhuo Fan expose himself and offer himself up on a chopping block? So he killed 2 righteous cultivators outside, stole their pass, and waltzed right in. Humph, Hell Valley can only intimidate some shy disciples with this. You think this is enough to deal with a bold cultivator or a profound heaven expert? Zhuo Fan's mouth let out snide remarks as he walked on. He came all this way to All Beast Mountain Range looking for a rare 6th-level spiritual beast, Thunder Skylark. Entering Lightning Canyon could only be done through the purple lightning. Zhuo Fan was certain Long Jiu's 3rd heaven purple lightning wasn't the same as the lightning from that place, or it would have reached the 6th heaven. That kind of power was a deterrence even for a radiant stage expert. So before he cleared Lightning Canyon's restrictions, he had to first find a way to guarantee his life in that place. And the Thunder Skylark, a creature that lived by swallowing lightning, was a perfect choice. When he'd made it his demonic creature that matched the demon transformation art, he'd have no trouble getting in. Zhuo Fan hoped Lightning Canyon's purple lightning wasn't higher than 6th heaven, or not even the Thunder Skylark would survive repeated blows to its body and turn to ash. If that happens, then he'd only be waiting for his death. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and picked up the pace. If not for Heavenly Emperor's remnant, he'd never dare go through such danger. Bam! As he walked, a black figure knocked into his chest. Zhuo Fan looked down to find a little beggar in shabby clothes. Zhuo Fan was enraged, but before he could curse, here came the little beggar's pleading voice, "Please. Don't shout." Zhuo Fan frowned. Then, from his back, a group of 30 Qi condensation cultivators appeared. Because the beggar hid in front of Zhuo Fan, his black cloak was wide enough to hide the beggar. Any sign of him? None. What are you standing around for? Find him. If we don't find him, Master will have our heads. A steward cursed. The others only nodded as they scattered. Once they were gone, the beggar looked up with a relieved breath and patted his chest. Scared me to death. I didn't think I'd make it. Zhuo Fan ignored him and walked away. Brother. The beggar was stunned for a second, then swooped in to block Zhuo Fan's path. He had a dark and dirty face but sported an extra big smile as he said, "Thank you for earlier. If it weren't for you." But Zhuo Fan kept walking. The beggar stood there blinking, then hurriedly caught up with Zhuo Fan. "Brother, did you come from outside the city? Can you take me outside, please? If you want to leave, do it alone. You don't need a pass to go out." Zhuo Fan dodged him. The little beggar's face was bitter as he bit his lip and sniffed twice as tears rolled down his cheeks. "Brother, to be honest, I stole from them. If they catch me, I'm a goner. Please, take me outside." Smiling, Zhuo Fan eyed him, around 15-16 years old and a 4th-layer Qi condensation cultivator. "You're not weak for your age. There's no way a commoner can have such cultivation. Are you truly a beggar?" The beggar stopped crying and his eyes darted everywhere as if looking for an excuse. Zhuo Fan continued with a smile, "And even if you're sincere, why should I help you and offend a powerful clan? I see no reason why I need to help you." Zhuo Fan then shook his head and walked past him. The beggar stood frozen in his spot, not knowing what to do. He didn't think Zhuo Fan was pragmatic. From the start, the beggar thought Zhuo Fan to be a kind youth since he helped him once. Don't you want to go to the All-Beast mountain range? The beggar shouted. Zhuo Fan halted his steps. All who come here are looking to go to the All-Beast mountain range. What else is here, visiting Hell Valley's cemetery? The beggar was stunned by his words. This kid sure has an attitude. Isn't he afraid of being killed for cursing Hell Valley? But the more Zhuo Fan acted as such, the weirder the beggar's eyes turned. You'll have to wait for 3 months before going to All-Beast mountain range. Zhuo Fan stopped with a frown. Why? The beggar skipped to him with a smile. Let me tell you, the diamond sand is about to come out on All-Beast mountain range. These past months Hell Valley sealed the whole mountain range for this precise reason. Diamond sand? Zhuo Fan was secretly overjoyed. The diamond sand was known as the blood of the earth, rare and difficult to obtain. It was used for refining 5th-grade spiritual weapons. But what made it even more valuable was that it was a flowing spirit metal, a perfect match for his blood infant. His blood infant was close to breaking through to bone-tempering stage and he needed to refine its body. At that time, blood infant could switch between being corporeal and elusive, killing people without leaving tracks. Refining it with 100 spirit metals would turn it as hard as a demonic treasure and it would become difficult to cause any harm to it. He could also achieve a similar result by refining blood infant with diamond sand. If he was able to do it, then he wouldn't have to worry about obtaining 100 spirit metals. And with a body refined from diamond sand, facing a profound heaven expert would be a cinch. Thinking of this, Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with excitement. The beggar saw through Zhuo Fan and coughed as he raised his head with pride. Let's make a deal. If you take me outside the city, I will take you to All-Beast mountain range. And when the diamond sand erupts, we can take advantage of their carelessness and steal a bit. Zhuo Fan secretly snickered. There was no way Hell Valley didn't prepare for this. But the fact that he had a guide to enter All-Beast mountain range without them knowing was a nice bonus. Deal. The beggar raised his hand and winked. Zhuo Fan shook his head and slapped the beggar's hand. Ha ha ha, awesome. I finally found someone to take me out of this damnable place. The beggar laughed while jumping around. Brother, what's your name? Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan was blunt because he knew even though Hell Valley was aware of the Luo clan, his title as a steward wasn't well known. And the only one who knows that he killed 2 of their elders was Yang Ming. But would anyone believe him even if he said it? Zhuo Fan was confident that Yang Ming would let this matter fester inside him. If anyone knew that Elder Jian died at the hands of a qi condensation punk, yet he survived, his future would be bleak, if not cut short. Moreover, even if he did speak up, Hell Valley would never announce it. Could they afford to lose any more reputation? The beggar laughed. Brother Zhuo, call me Shao Ning. Fine. Zhuo Fan nodded, not caring much because he knew it was fake. The beggar pouted, looking at him with a deep look full of curiosity. Zhuo Fan gave him a different impression from all those he had seen before, simply mysterious. Ninger. Just when the little beggar was about to take Zhuo Fan to All-Beast mountain range, a yell echoed in their ears. Little beggar shivered, turning his head shyly. With slow footsteps, what appeared before the two was an elegant young master in white with tied hair. He was in front of 20 qi condensation experts donning the same clothes as the ones from the previous group. The young master ignored Zhuo Fan and glared at the beggar with rage. You've caused enough trouble. It's time you return. Biting his lip, the beggar's eyes looked uncertain, but soon he came to a decision and stared back with a firm gaze. He dodged behind Zhuo Fan with a yell, Brother Zhuo, save me. The young master finally picked up on Zhuo Fan's presence, merely glancing his phoenix eyes his way. This concerns our Shui clan. If Sir does not want any trouble, I suggest you leave. Shui clan? Zhuo Fan quirked an eyebrow and stared long at the beggar. I didn't think this buddy had offended the Shui clan. Shui clan was the #1 common clan in Blue Expanse City. It had a profound heaven expert as overseer and could be considered a second-rate clan on the continent. But as Blue Expanse City was under Hell Valley's control, Shui clan was nothing more than its vassal. Zhuo Fan saw the beggar pleading with his eyes and smiled as he drew the beggar closer. The young master squinted and paled. The beggar was also surprised, and a faint red tint made itself notice on his dirty cheeks. "Kid, what do you think you're doing?" the young master bellowed. Juofan snickered. "From now on, he's under me. If you want him, you'll have to pass through me first." "Absurd. Did you come to Blue Expanse City without even knowing of our Shui clan? Is our clan someone you can offend?" "Ha ha ha," Juofan laughed and shook his head. "Of course I know. Shui clan is Hell Valley's #1 dog in Blue Expanse City. You're telling me to ignore all those rare and amazing spiritual beasts on Allbeast Mountain Range for a lame dog?" The young master was about to explode from anger. The beggar was also angry and pushed Juofan. "Don't talk of Shui clan like that." Juofan was stunned. "I am venting your anger, yet you still blame me? Men, seize them." As Juofan was lost for words, the young master bellowed orders. The men behind him swarmed the two. The beggar woke up to who the enemy was and hid behind Juofan. Sneering, Juofan picked up on the fact that these guards were mostly 5th layer chi condensation cultivators, with only 2 in the 6th layer. A bunch of fishes looking for death. Juofan attacked with disdain. His hand flashed red and struck with blood palm. It hit a guard's chest, and the victim felt all his blood vessels burst and his organs expand to the point of bursting. He spat blood before collapsing. Another palm flew and the next guard fell. This pattern went on and on. The group of 20 guards fell one by one under Juofan's onslaught. The young master had long been standing there in shock. Even with his 8th layer chi condensation cultivation, he would be unable to deal with 20 men like Juofan did. It was clear that Juofan was only in the 5th layer, yet his simple palm dealt each guard a serious wound. What escaped his eyes, though, was that Juofan's blood palm bypassed a person's flesh and struck at the blood vessels. It was the same as ignoring the body's defense and attacking the vulnerable organs within, so of course, it was far deadlier than it looked. In but a few breaths, all guards were on the ground, knocked out. The young master witnessed it all with a solemn expression. The beggar's eyes also bulged in wonder. "So you do know a thing or two, kid. No wonder you're so smug." The young master gnashed his teeth and jumped, shattering the stones beneath his feet. "Then let me, Shui Gang, coerce sir with my high martial arts." "Shui Gang?" Juofan frowned. "Are you Shui clan's young master? I heard your dad pampers you and you are to be the clan's successor. So, are you afraid perchance?" Shui Gang shouted. Juofan shook his head. "No, I just don't like annoyances. If I offend you here, my days in Blue Expanse City will be harder. It's best to shut all these people up for good and bring peace to my ears." Juofan's eyes flashed with killing intent and shot forward. Such pressure from him squeezed at Shui Gang's heart. He never dreamed Juofan would dare to kill him. The naked killing intent made his Yuan Qi slow down, even if he was 3 layers higher than Juofan. He, who was praised to high heaven for his talent in cultivation, couldn't foresee the world housing such a ruthless youth. A mere 5th layer chi condensation cultivator was able to overwhelm an expert 3 layers higher. He watched in abject fear as the palm neared his chest and was moments away from rupturing his heart. But in this moment of impending crisis, he bit his tongue to wake up. The pain freed him from the killing intense horrifying grip. With no time to lose, he punched. Blue lights shot like a tornado at Juofan. High mortal ranked martial art, howling fist. Juofan snorted in disdain and made a hand sign so that a red light flew right into Shui Gang's body. Before the howling fist even touched Juofan, it broke apart and Shui Gang's body froze on the spot in panic. At this moment Juofan towered over him. Seeing Juofan's devious grin, Shui Gang felt like he was looking at a demon and his heart seized up for a few seconds. Bam! Juofan's palm landed on his chest and Shui Gang spat blood as he flew into the air. His organs felt like they were burning and his blood vessels began to rupture. But the pain had yet to register when the demon approached. Shui Gang was so scared he was having a mental breakdown. This was Juofan. He didn't strike with another palm and instead, Zhuo Fan grabbed Shui Gang's neck with a sneer. "Young Master Shui, worry not. After you die, your servants will follow in your footsteps, down to the last one. This should keep the Shui clan from chasing me all over for at least 3 months. Let's make this case cold." Zhuo Fan tightened the chokehold and Shui Gang felt his throat almost breaking. He could even hear his bones creak. He was on the brink of death. Besides agony, nothing else was felt. Not for the life of him could he understand what he did wrong. Wasn't he only going to bring Ninger back? Why did he meet a reaper instead? A ruthless killer. I forgot to read my future before heading out. If his neck wasn't being crushed by Zhuo Fan, he'd be wailing and bawling. Damn it, what rotten luck. Stop. Just when Zhuo Fan wanted to apply the last bit of force and send the young master to paradise, the beggar yelled. Zhuo Fan eyed him suspiciously. "What are you doing? Aren't they your enemies?" The beggar was filled with worry for Shui Gang's life that even tears formed in his eyes. In fact, he wanted to stop Zhuo Fan long ago, but Zhuo Fan was just too fast. He dealt with the guards in one moment, and in the next, he was at Shui Gang's throat. "Even if they are, I don't want to kill them," the beggar cried. Zhuo Fan frowned. "Why didn't you say so?" "But it's too late now. They are no longer just your enemies, they are mine too. The only ending for my enemies is death." Zhuo Fan's hand tightened and Shui Gang's eyes bulged out. He wasn't far off from dying. "If you don't release him, I won't guide you," the beggar yelled in tears. Zhuo Fan frowned. This was his first time seeing a person shed tears for their enemies. He let go and Shui Gang dropped on the ground. Zhuo Fan made a sign and Blood Infant returned as he shrugged. "Since you aren't scared, why would I be over some future inconvenience?" He wiped the tears off the beggar's little face and walked away while holding the beggar close. "Show the way, then I will take you outside the city, far from Shui clan." "Why you baddie?" the little beggar stammered. Zhuo Fan sneered. "Correct, I'm a bad man. But in this world, they are the only ones who can survive. The good guys have already left for hell." The beggar wiped his tears and looked at Zhuo Fan, unafraid. He had seen his fair share of bad people, but none rose to Zhuo Fan's level. Yet he never felt any hatred for Zhuo Fan as he did for others. Instead, he felt at ease. This feeling he didn't express, but it felt nice anyway. An hour later, a black figure appeared standing in Zhuo Fan's previous position. The old man's beard shivered from rage at the sight of the guards on the ground. He noticed Shui Gang twitching on the ground, helped him up, and asked nervously, "Ganger, what's wrong? Who did this to you?" Shui Gang gasped with a pale face, yet not one word was uttered. The old man looked him over and found that only Shui Gang's insides were wounded, while below him was a puddle of water. He gave Shui Gang a pill then let out a long breath. But Shui Gang's injury astonished him. His wound wasn't heavy, only needing a month to heal. But his mind, however, had received a heavy shock. He was frightened so badly he peed himself. Ganger is a bold youth. Only a dreadful expert could have scared him to such a state in such a short time. The old man was bewildered as he pondered for a long time. In the end, he shook his head and left with Shui Gang. No matter who it was, any who dared offend Shui clan in Blue Expanse City would have another thing coming. That's the path up the mountain. The beggar and Zhuo Fan poked their heads through a bush close to a narrow mountain path. Zhuo Fan looked ahead and frowned seeing 30 bone-tempering guards. With his strength and savage moon, along with Blood Infant's help, it wasn't hard to charge through. But to do it without anyone noticing was the problem. Any noise here would attract the elder from Hell Valley stationed within. And since Shui clan's profound heaven expert was after him, he'd have a hard time coming out alive. After careful deliberation, Zhuo Fan shook his head. He'd have to rely on the little beggar if he wanted to go within the mountain's range. "Xiao Ning, where's the secret tunnel?" Zhuo Fan looked at the little beggar. The latter was still feeling afraid of what he had witnessed some time ago. He wasn't crying but still sniffed. "See, come with me," said the little beggar while sniffing hard, then he and Zhuo Fan vanished from the bushes. Zhuo Fan felt helpless. Why is this kid more of a coward than a mouse? Ever since he saw what I did, he keeps crying from fear, even now. They were the enemies chasing you down, not your family. So why are you crying so hard? Zhuo Fan secretly cursed but was resigned to his fate. Who told him to agree to this little beggar's deal? He imagined that after he followed the beggar to the mountain, he'd be facing some ferocious spiritual beasts while the beggar kept crying at the side. Sighing, Zhuo Fan traveled with the beggar through a dark forest. After a long time, they found a narrow tunnel next to a hidden stream. This is it. The beggar forced himself to stop sobbing, but his body still shivered. When I was little, I used to play with my dad and brothers in these woods. Zhuo Fan lifted an eyebrow as he inspected the cave and the surroundings. It was such a remote place that only a native would know of. He guessed that the little beggar must have stumbled upon this cave when he was playing with his brothers, or the Hell Valley would have sealed it by now if they knew of it. All right, Xiao Ning. Go in first, I'll be right behind you. Zhuo Fan shouted as he pushed the little beggar in. He didn't think this place held a trap, but his years and years of experience still showed his cautious nature. The little beggar was aware of the meaning and rolled his eyes in anger, and stooped to go in. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard. Ninger, stop! Whoosh! With a sound of the wind, a large figure blocked the two's path. The man looked like he was in his 40s and wore luxurious clothing over his tall and sturdy body. His pair of large eyes flashed with the explosive power of an expert. Peak bone tempering expert. Zhuo Fan frowned and his hands tightened. Are you the clan head of the Shui clan, Shui Wanlong? Good eyes. Shui Wanlong praised. Were you the one who harmed my eldest son, Shui Gang? Indeed, Zhuo Fan smiled. He wanted to take one of my people. Sparing him was already kind enough. What, yours? Shui Wanlong was shocked and turned to the little beggar. The little beggar blushed as he hid behind Zhuo Fan. Shui Wanlong's expression turned weird. Dad! Just then, a yell was heard. A youth in white landed next to Shui Wanlong. Ha ha ha, I knew Ninger would be hiding here. Dad, let me help you take him back. The youth looked thrilled. He disregarded Zhuo Fan and flew to the little beggar. Bastard, this kid is way too cocky, treating me like air. Zhuo Fan squinted and secretly cursed. When the youth was close to him, he struck with a red palm. The youth felt his energy turn sluggish and his blood vessels rupture. In this moment of deadly crisis, Zhuo Fan struck like lightning and grabbed his neck. What are you doing? Shui Wanlong roared. He didn't think his son would be caught so easily. To be honest, he saw Zhuo Fan as a fifth-layer qi condensation cultivator and was still skeptical of how he hurt his eldest son and guards. But now he knew. Compared to the kids he raised in his clan with all his heart, Zhuo Fan was akin to a savage beast bathed in blood. He was weaker, but his timing was perfect and his methods vicious. Before Zhuo Fan, his two sons were nothing more than greenhouse flowers. With a snicker, Zhuo Fan raised the youth up high, a fifth-layer qi condensation cultivator. He must be your second son, Shui Lin, right? Release him now, or you won't make it out alive. Shui Wanlong roared in anger. Sneering, Zhuo Fan shook his head. If I do as you say, you'd make sure I'm dead even more. Clan head Shui, no matter what grievances Xiao Ning has with you, he is my person. I only hope you will give up at this point. Don't. Zhuo Fan's hand squeezed and Shui Lin gasped with his tongue out, and you will have your son as a corpse. No. The little beggar shouted before Shui Wanlong could reply, grabbing Zhuo Fan's arm and begging with his eyes. Zhuo Fan was stunned. This beggar must have a screw loose. Why does he want to leave his enemies alive? Shui Wanlong watched them with a complicated gaze. But soon came to a decision and calmed down. This, in turn, startled Zhuo Fan. Kid, what is your name? Shui Wanlong asked. Zhuo Fan smiled. I am alone and am not afraid of your revenge. Nor am I afraid of telling you my name. It's Zhuo Fan. Alright, Zhuo Fan. You want to protect him no matter what? Shui Wanlong pointed at the little beggar with a solemn look. Zhuo Fan snorted, he is mine, so of course I will. Good, then let's make a bet. You let my son go and take 10 hits from me. If you win, I will no longer care about him. What do you say? Squinting, Zhuo Fan considered Shui Wanlong's bet, then showed his manic grin as he threw Shui Lin away. Aren't you afraid I will break my word? Shui Wanlong's eyes flashed. Zhuo Fan sneered, if I want to kill him, you won't be able to stop me. Big words. Shui Wanlong was angry again. Here are my 10 moves. He charged with his peak bone tempering power on display. But Zhuo Fan didn't seem to feel any discomfort, standing there calmly. Shui Wanlong's brow trembled as he secretly praised Zhuo Fan. But before he reached Zhuo Fan, the latter also charged. This puzzled him greatly. Even if this kid is a seasoned fighter, he can't fend off a bone-tempering expert. So why? He saw Zhuo Fan's hand shine and Savage Moon appear. Basked in a silver glow, Zhuo Fan sped up and was before Shui Wanlong in an instant, ready to attack. Third-grade demonic treasure? Shui Wanlong was shocked and turned to the side in an attempt to dodge. But a red light darted out from Zhuo Fan, aimed at Shui Wanlong. Got you. Zhuo Fan grinned with killing intent. But just as Blood Infant was about to enter Shui Wanlong, it was repelled. As it bounced off, Zhuo Fan felt his blood stirring from his connection with it. His hand moved and he slashed with Savage Moon. The silver light trailed past Shui Wanlong's face. When both of them stopped, Zhuo Fan was standing in Shui Wanlong's original place with a solemn look. Just now he had planned to take Shui Wanlong's life in one hit by using Blood Infant and Savage Moon. But unexpectedly, Blood Infant bounced off and the recoil veered his attack. He turned back to see Shui Wanlong's chest flash, and shouted, second-grade defensive demonic treasure. His heart grew heavy having found out the reason. Against such a defensive demonic treasure, his chi condensation Blood Infant was useless. He could only rely on Savage Moon in this battle. As Zhuo Fan felt gloomy about the upcoming fight, Shui Wanlong's jaw dropped in shock. He didn't foresee that a fifth-layer chi condensation kid would have such terrifying power. If he was a moment too late, his head would have been sent flying right now. Recalling his bet with Zhuo Fan, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Blast it, as the matter stands, it'll be good if I can at least keep my head after 10 moves. He then looked at the chain mail on his chest and sighed. Thanks to his father warning him that the man who took Ninger might have been an expert, he wore this armor. He was unclear as to what was Blood Infant's use, but he knew death wouldn't be far away once it got into his body. Then he turned to Zhuo Fan, who was looking at him as if to devour him, and broke out in cold sweat. This was his first time meeting such a dreadful opponent. Even more so when this opponent was in the 5th layer of chi condensation. Damn it. Is this kid a monster? Gnashing his teeth, Shui Wanlong braced himself for what's to come. Zhuo Fan stared at Shui Wanlong, thinking hard for a way to finish his enemy. Shui Wanlong was the same, yet his eyes seemed lost. He saw no hesitation from Zhuo Fan, but a naked taunt instead. This was not how a chi condensation cultivator was supposed to stare at a bone-tempering expert. It was more akin to a savage beast staring down its prey, and he didn't like it one bit. Being stared down by someone weaker than me feels like I've lost all respect. He decided to rush for an attack and strike awe in this kid. But Zhuo Fan got ahead of him and ran for him first. Second move. Zhuo Fan's sudden action startled him, but soon recalled who he was. Even if it was against a punk, he wasn't about to make a fool of himself. Moreover, only Savage Moon was a threat to him. If he paid attention to it, he'd be fine. It would be no problem lasting 10 moves. If his thoughts were known to others, it would leave them speechless. In a fight between peak bone tempering expert and a chi condensation kid, the former who thought this was but a cat and mouse game was now thinking how to survive 10 moves. Who the hell was strong and who was weak then? And more importantly, who in the hell told him to make a 10 moves bet in the first place? But he had no time to mind such trifles as Zhuo Fan had turned into a silver light. Seeing the silver light approach him, Shui Wanlong exploded with power and retreated. It could be said that he was being wary of Savage Moon, but he was even more afraid that he would end up making an embarrassing scene. Shui Lin, who was thrown down, coughed twice then stared in shock. "Dad, you were the one who brought up the 10 moves bet, not the other way around." Shui Wanlong's face froze, itching to run over and kick his son's rear real good. "Can you be even more oblivious? This kid's toy is sharp and you want me to play around with death?" Shui Lin was ignorant of his dad's struggle and kept cheering. But Shui Wanlong's face was getting more and more ashen. Zhuo Fan didn't even get to touch Shui Wanlong's clothes in the first 5 moves. But he saw through Shui Wanlong's intention and became bold. With a manic grin, Zhuo Fan declared, "6th move." He sped up for another attack while Shui Wanlong was prepared to dodge. But this time, Zhuo Fan stepped lightly and turned into 3 figures, surrounding Shui Wanlong. 3 silver lights approached Shui Wanlong in a threatening manner from different directions. Shui Wanlong was startled. But as a peak bone tempering expert, he didn't lose his calm. He kicked the ground and made it explode. The force helped him dodge backwards, almost enough to escape the encirclement. But Zhuo Fan sneered and stepped again. Whoosh! The images dissipated. However, Zhuo Fan appeared from behind Shui Wanlong and cut past his ear. Low spirit ranked martial art, mystifying phantom step. The two stopped again, with Zhuo Fan standing 3 meters away from his opponent with a smile. Shui Wanlong stood there watching a strand of black hair floating before him. I lost. He couldn't believe it. What was meant to be a test for the kid ended with his complete loss in the 6th move. He didn't sense Zhuo Fan behind him, but since Zhuo Fan could cut his hair just as well, it could have been his head. In other words, Zhuo Fan was going easy on him. Shui Wanlong swallowed dryly. He was going all out from the 2nd move. But even so, impossible. The beggar and Shui Lin yelled at the same time. They found it hard to accept that such a powerful expert lost to their peer. "Dad, you must have gone easy on purpose, right?" Shui Lin ran next to Shui Wanlong with expectation in his eyes. But Shui Wanlong didn't comment. Zhuo Fan watched them coldly. Of course clan head Shui went easy. His first move was just a test, without killing intent. If Dad hadn't gone easy, you'd be dead. Shui Lin was grasping for straws here when he stuck out his chin in derision. But Zhuo Fan just sneered, "Terribly sorry, your dad didn't go all out." But if he had, his head would have been lying on the ground by now. Zhuo Fan wasn't saying to scare people. Although his first attempt with Blood Infant failed, it only meant that he lost the initiative completely. And that didn't equal losing his chance to kill Shui Wanlong. A bone-tempering expert lacks speed in comparison to a profound heaven expert. With Savage Moon's assist, Zhuo Fan's speed matched a bone-tempering expert. So, he still had a chance with his speed. What was left then was to deliver a killing blow at the perfect timing. If Zhuo Fan was in the 4th layer of qi condensation, it would have been impossible. But in the 5th layer, he could use spirit-ranked martial arts. And the first one he trained was mystifying phantom step. This was not your average martial art, but one coming from 9 Serenity's secret records, a rare martial art that made use of an array's advantage. The phantom part wasn't important, but it was crucial to bait the opponent. The true killing move came from the mystified path he drew his opponent in. With this martial art, Zhuo Fan could teleport anywhere within a short range. During their fight, the phantoms took all of Shui Wanlong's attention and made him ignore the sudden appearance of Zhuo Fan behind him. If Zhuo Fan had sensed any killing intent in their fight, he would have chopped Shui Wanlong's head off. Shui Wanlong was more than clear on this and accepted his defeat. Zhuo Fan, with a sigh, Shui Wanlong stared at him solemnly. "You're the most reliable youth I've ever seen. I will leave Ning'e with you. Don't fail him." Zhuo Fan was puzzled. What does he mean by that? But Shui Wanlong didn't explain and hugged the little beggar. "Ning'e, go and don't return." follow your dreams. Dad! The little beggar cried rivers. Zhuo Fan watched in shock. Dad? When did Shui Wanlong have a third son? But soon, he yelled, hold on, your third young miss, Shui Ningxiang. Rolling his eyes, Shui Wanlong patted Zhuo Fan's shoulder. Kid, I thought you were smart, but you found this out only now. Anyway, you said it yourself that she is yours, so I am leaving her in your care. If I find out that you mistreated my daughter in any way, I will wring your life from your body. No way. What is going on here? Zhuo Fan was slack-jawed. All this time he'd been fighting the little beggar's father and was so close to ending her entire family. It's obvious now why she always glared at me with such hatred. Sighing, Shui Wanlong took one last look at his tearing daughter and left with Shui Lin. After going some distance, Shui Lin said, Dad, if we don't get Ning'er back, how do we explain it to Hell Valley? Quiet, I have a way. Shui Ningxiang. Zhuo Fan stepped before the little beggar and tossed her cap. Jet black silky hair cascaded. The little beggar, who was still lost in tears as she watched her father leave, yelped when this happened and hurriedly held her head. She faced him with a blushed face but didn't meet his eyes. Miss Ning, what's your game? Here I was fighting with your father thinking of helping you vent your anger but, in fact, it was for nothing. Shui Ningxiang took 2 steps back, muttering as she looked at his angry face, Brother Zhuo, don't be angry. I only want to leave the city while you want to go to All Beast Mountain Range. We'll each get what we want. Zhuo Fan was startled. Then again, she's right. As long as I get what I want, who cares if they're a family of archenemies? Each gets what he wants. This Missy speaks reason. Will I, demonic emperor, get angry because she lied to me? Anyway, this has nothing to do with me. But then Zhuo Fan was startled once again. Since when have I been so emotional? With a frown, Zhuo Fan recalled everything that happened since his rebirth. He then realized that being in contact with the Luo clan over the past months made him show consideration to the people around him, even without his knowledge. This wasn't how a demonic cultivator acted at all. Damn it, I don't need these useless feelings. I have to change. I have to. Zhuo Fan reminded himself again and again. His face then turned serene, void of any emotion. Shui Ningxiang, let's go. Zhuo Fan pointed at the cave and said in a cold tone, once I'm done with All Beast Mountain Range, I will take you out. At that time, our deal is done. Shui Ningxiang looked long at him then nodded. Zhuo Fan's behavior changed way too fast as if he was a different person. To begin with, Zhuo Fan wasn't a good man in her mind but now he became neither good nor bad, but cold and unfeeling. All Beast Mountain Range, deep in the forest. In a remote thicket, a rabbit was chewing on tender juicy grass. Suddenly, the rabbit straightened its ears and bolted. A moment later, a black hand extended out from the ground followed by the slow crawl of the little beggar. But as she was crawling, she was flung out with a loud sound, as if a palm had slapped her. Get out already. Zhuo Fan scowled and came out after the beggar flew. He was just as filthy as the beggar and looked as if he had crawled through a cramped coal mine. The tunnel was winding and almost half a mile long, it was also damp and smelled of rot. He couldn't understand for the life of him what was so great about playing in this place as kids. Shui Ningxiang got on her feet, rubbed her rear and then glared at him, you're the worst. I show you the way and this is my thanks. Yes, I'm a scoundrel. Zhuo Fan didn't argue with her and had his eyes peeled, scanning the surrounding as he heard the seldom roar of spiritual beasts. He now knew that this was indeed All Beast Mountain Range. Looking at his filthy appearance, he shook his head and turned to Shui Ningxiang, hey, is there any river nearby? Rolling her eyes, Shui Ningxiang began walking, follow me. Zhuo Fan smiled and followed her. 15 minutes later, the sound of water reached their ears. He perked up and sped. His eyes were soon rewarded with the sight of a wide river flowing with clear water and small fishes. With a shout, Zhuo Fan leapt in despite a female's presence. His clothes then flew out. Xuanningsiang whipped her body around in shame and snapped, "You rogue, what are you doing? What do you think, bathing?" Zhuo Fan snorted as he bathed with no regard to her presence. "I'll get out after I finish." "Do what you want. If you wish, we can bathe together, I don't mind." "Damn you, who wants to bathe with you?" Xuanningsiang didn't turn around, only mumbled with irritation, "Shameless." Zhuo Fan heard her loud and clear though. If demonic cultivators cared about reputation, what are righteous cultivators then? A quarter of an hour later, Zhuo Fan came out of the river and put on a new robe from his ring. He patted Xuanningsiang's shoulder. "Let's go, where is the diamond sand going to appear?" Xuanningsiang was a bit nervous seeing Zhuo Fan wanted to leave. She stood there in hesitation and was too embarrassed to speak. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. "What? Show the way. Didn't we have a deal?" But," Xuanningsiang muttered shyly, "I haven't washed yet." Zhuo Fan's eyebrow twitched and he exposed an enigmatic smile. "I told you to wash but you refused. Since you haven't, then that's that. I won't avoid you either way." But. Xuanningsiang was even more embarrassed now. She put on a disguise to run away from home. But she was a girl, and girls loved beauty, so how could she allow herself to stay dirty? Zhuo Fan knew this too, but he was just teasing the hell out of her. "Who told her to deceive me?" Xuanningsiang was swaying from one foot to the other but didn't speak. But when she caught Zhuo Fan's faint smile, she knew he was teasing her. Pissed, she threw her hat in his face and walked to the river. But after a few steps, she turned to warn Zhuo Fan, "Why, you better not peek." Zhuo Fan mocked as he left, "I'm not interested in unripe fruits." "Unripe?" Xuanningsiang was startled, then looked down at her chest and pushed it out unconvinced. "Humph, where am I unripe?" But Zhuo Fan had already disappeared among the trees. Xuanningsiang pouted and returned to the river with a gloomy heart. Half an hour later, Zhuo Fan was laying carefree on a bush, holding a straw in his mouth and contemplating his next course of action. The bushes around him moved at that moment and Zhuo Fan looked over with a smile. "Oh, you're finally done. Little miss, can we go now?" "Why, yeah." With a shy reply, the bushes were pushed aside. A white-clothed delicate girl slowly walked out. She wasn't gorgeous, but she had a lively air about her. She was like a bouquet of fresh and pure flowers. Even Zhuo Fan was startled by her image. He didn't think that the dirty little beggar from before would transform into a gentle swan. Xuanningsiang reddened a bit from his constant staring. She coughed and Zhuo Fan smiled embarrassingly. Lady Xue, please lead the way." Changing his mannerism after encountering a bell, Zhuo Fan started to despise himself a bit. Since when have I become so shameless? Yet the end result was that he found it refreshing walking side by side with a bell. 2 hours later, Xuanningsiang brought him to a hilltop. Zhuo Fan was puzzled. Since the diamond sand is coming out, there should be plenty of people around. Why is it deserted? Xuanningsiang shook her head and rolled her eyes. "Brother Zhuo, I thought you were smart. How come you are so stupid all of a sudden?" Zhuo Fan watched her skeptically. "If we go in right now, we will be caught. That is why I led you here." Xuanningsiang pulled Zhuo Fan's hand and went higher up the hill and pointed. "That is the place where the diamond sand will erupt." Looking over, Zhuo Fan saw many figures, 50 in number, defending a pond. The pond seemed to be connected to a hot spring as it was bubbling. In the center, on a stone rising from the water, sat a gray-robed white-haired elder with his eyes closed. The air was warm around him, but the steam from the hot spring vanished the closer it got to him. So much so that not even his hair was wet. Such deep cultivation. Is he a profound heaven expert? Zhuo Fan frowned in panic. Suddenly, that elder snapped his eyes open and looked in Zhuo Fan's direction. His eyes were sharp and landed like lightning on his position. "Get down." Zhuo Fan pulled Xuanningsiang to lie on a rock as cold sweat ran all over his body. Such a sharp instinct. He is a profound heaven expert for sure. Correct. Xuanningsiang nodded. He is Hell Valley's elder overseeing Blue Expanse City for the past dozen years. Last month he found that the Golden Spring Pool released a lot of diamond sand and has stood watch here ever since. The 50 people around him are also bone tempering experts. Zhuo Fan nodded. Before diamond sand erupted, it would cause the flowing gold tide. But the flowing gold tide would only contain trace amounts of diamond sand. But 3 months from then, the diamond sand would erupt for sure. To get all the diamond sand before others, they placed guards. But who is to say the diamond sand would erupt from here? Zhuo Fan frowned as he thought. With his power, he had no hope of stealing the diamond sand, unless... His eyes flashed and pulled Xuaningxiang off the hilltop. What, you have a way? Seeing Zhuo Fan confident, Xuaningxiang was startled. She was already shocked that he could beat her family, but could he also have the power to win against a profound heaven cultivator and a team of bone tempering experts? Zhuo Fan shook his head. If you can't beat them, outwit them. Let's go, I want you to find a little pet for me. Xuaningxiang was puzzled. In the Golden Spring Pool, the elder's eyes were filled with confusion. Did I sense wrongly? At the same time, in Blue Expanse City, Xue Wanlong took Xue Lin's dirty figure home. In the main hall of the Xue clan sat a wizened old man in the seat of honor, watching the two. Then he suddenly jumped to his feet. How was it? Did you bring Ninger? Did you deal with the culprit that harmed Ganger? Sighing, Xue Wanlong shook his head. Dad, I let them go. That kid is not bad, so I entrusted Ninger to him. As for him injuring Ganger, he did not know any better. As long as he takes care of Ninger, I do not mind it. What, that man is Ninger's? The old man spouted in shock. Nodding, Xue Wanlong said, that kid said Ninger was his. Ninger was also willing, so we can assume so. Fool. The old man slapped the table with a howl. Wanlong, no matter who the kid is, even if you disregard what he did to Ganger, Ninger can never ever be taken away. You know that if she leaves, our Xue clan. Even though he was angry, his eyes revealed sadness. Xue Wanlong looked at his father with firm eyes as he said, Dad, let Ninger go. I will take full responsibility. You take shit. Can you keep the young and old safe? The old man roared, Wanlong, I know you love your daughter, but you think I don't? But Xue clan. Sighing, the old man's face hardened. Where did they go? Xue Wanlong was vexed, but still spoke as he closed his eyes. All Beast Mountain Range. Whoosh. In an instant, the old man vanished. Zhuo Fan and Xuaningxiang were searching through bushes in All Beast Mountain Range. Xuaningxiang was unsettled, not knowing where he was going with this. Zhuo Fan suddenly shouted in glee and held out something dirty. Found it. Xuaningxiang blinked in curiosity at the thing. What is it? What does it do? Sweet potato. Zhuo Fan gave a vague smile and continued, the one thing that first-level spiritual beast burrowing mouse likes the most. Xuaningxiang's eyes flashed and yelled, great plan, you want to use a burrowing mouse to make a tunnel and steal the diamond sand. The burrowing mouse didn't know how to fight and even a Foundation establishment cultivator could capture it easily. But its burrowing skill was second to none. Just one of these critters could dig through a 1,000-mile-long mountain range in an hour. Zhuo Fan didn't reply and showed a faint smile. Xuaningxiang felt even more suspicious now. No one seemed to be able to unravel the insidious mind of Zhuo Fan. A moment later, Zhuo Fan took Xuaningxiang far away from the Golden Spring Pool and made a fire in which he threw the sweet potato. Soon, a sweet aroma wafted for 100 miles. Many spiritual beasts raised their heads and began searching for the source. Zhuo Fan took Xuaningxiang to lay in ambush close by, their eyes fixed on the fire. The bushes rustled and many spiritual beasts, big and small, approached the fire. They prodded the black lumps in the fire, wanting to find out from where the sweet smell came from, to no avail. Zhuo Fan secretly laughed and smiled at Xuaningxiang. In fact, the two took the cooked sweet potato long ago. They only left it inside enough to release its sweet smell and attract the burrowing mouse. If not, the other spiritual beasts would have taken it away and ruined their plan. More and more spiritual beasts came and searched, but found nothing. However, the soil next to the fire moved as it bulged outwards to no more than a fist in size. Zhuo Fan stood up slowly and got ready. Suddenly, the bulge of dirt broke away. A creature with a black mouth on its tiny head came out. It roamed around the fire a few times and sniffed. Now! Zhuo Fan screamed in his mind as he shot for the fire. The spiritual beasts, which gathered around the fire, were only at first and second level, ran away at the sudden noise. Only the burrowing mouse was oblivious to what was happening, but its intuition as a spiritual beast gave it a bit of insight that danger was looming. It immediately started moving its claw, wanting to burrow. But it was too late. Zhuo Fan already flashed before it and grabbed its tail. The burrowing mouse struggled for its life in panic. But there was no escape from the demonic palm of Zhuo Fan. Hee, buddy, you wanna run? With a manic grin, Zhuo Fan grabbed the critter's frail body and squeezed. It screeched in pain and flailed its claws. Xuaningxiang couldn't take it anymore and took the poor thing close to her chest. She patted it and threw Zhuo Fan an evil eye. How can you be so cruel? What if you hurt it? Humph, spiritual beasts don't get bruised easily. Zhuo Fan snorted, we need to hurry and tame it or we won't get another chance. But you don't need to be such a bore about it. My clan had raised some small spiritual beasts before and even if they were wild they still listened to me. Xuaningxiang comforted the poor critter with a sweet smile. Isn't that right, little one? The burrowing mouse seemed to understand and nodded, then glared at Zhuo Fan. Curses, buddy, you're pushing it here. Zhuo Fan raged inside, itching to get his hand on the prick. But it was impossible, not with Xuaningxiang guarding it like a tigress. But then an idea struck him and his manic grin returned. The burrowing mouse shivered at the sight of him and hid in Xuaningxiang's chest. What are you trying to do? Xuaningxiang warned Zhuo Fan as she stepped back. His face flipped to a gentle smile as a gourd appeared on his palm. It's all right. I won't harm the little one. I only wanted to swallow something. Then he took out a blood-red worm from the gourd. It was the demonic creature he had raised with great care, frigid pool bloodworm. Any creature that ingested it would have no choice but to listen to his commands or the blood curse would claim their lives. If not for time being an issue, he wouldn't have wanted to waste a bloodworm on a first-level spiritual beast. What is that? So disgusting. Xuaningxiang frowned and took another step back. The burrowing mouse also sensed the danger and hid in her chest. Zhuo Fan was dead serious. We have two ways we can tame the little guy fast. Either let me train it for a day, or he eats this. Xuaningxiang saw Zhuo Fan's face and she knew if she refused, he'd use force. Helpless, Xuaningxiang took the burrowing mouse out and patted its head. Little one, it's better if you eat it. Although it's a tad disgusting, it's better than landing in that guy's hands. Xuaningxiang said as she walked toward Zhuo Fan. With a sinister smile, Zhuo Fan inched the bloodworm close to the burrowing mouse's mouth. The critter struggled but it was of no use. The bloodworm was about to enter its mouth. At that moment, however, a whoosh was heard. Zhuo Fan pushed Xuaningxiang away as he moved back himself. Watch out. A cold light passed between them. The freezing ray almost touched Zhuo Fan's fingers as it cut the wiggling bloodworm clean in half. He was aware of the killing intent the ray contained. Zhuo Fan turned to see a tall youth not 10 meters away. He looked to be 20 years old and had a handsome visage. His eyes flashed with coldness, like a pair of sharp blades, at the two of them. The burrowing mouse shrieked a few times and ran from Xuaningxiang's hands and climbed up his body to his shoulder. It has a master? Zhuo Fan scowled. The youth snorted at the two. You both got some nerve eyeing my spirit animal. Sorry, it wasn't on purpose. Zhuo Fan stopped Xuaningxiang's explanation with a wave and pushed her behind him. It doesn't matter if it has a master or not. We need it today. Ha ha ha, big words. The youth sneered. One insect is in the 5th layer of chi condensation, while the other in the 4th. Yet you still want to tame what is mine. Fine, guess I will have to end you. Humph, we will see about that. Sneering, Juefan rushed at the youth as Savage Moon flashed in his hand. Third-grade demonic treasure? Raising an eyebrow, the youth lost the contempt he had before. This demonic treasure was a threat to his life, and in all his teachings he received, one needed to go all out regardless of the enemy. His eyes gleamed as he dashed at Juefan, his hand flashed and it now held a long sword. In an instant, the world seemed to freeze over. The sky and the earth seemed to vanish as flickering light spewed from the sword. Empty net. Whoosh! Juefan suddenly slowed down amid his charge. Even his surroundings were sluggish while the only thing unaffected was the long sword. Profound ranked martial art, 7th layer of bone tempering stage, and 4th grade spiritual weapon. Squinting, Juefan started to take this seriously. This youth wasn't average. It was hard enough reaching such cultivation at his age, but he had also grasped a profound ranked martial art and used a 4th grade spiritual weapon. In the Tianyu Empire, rare were those like him even in the 7 noble houses. And exactly that was the answer. This man could be a core disciple of the 7 noble houses, perhaps even an inheritor. Today Juefan offended him and tomorrow trouble would come knocking. The only choice was to kill him. In an instant, Juefan's eyes exploded with killing intent. The youth was startled. Am I not the one holding the advantage? Why is this kid releasing such thick killing intent? Does he think he can actually kill me? The next moment, however, Juefan's action left him pale. Despite knowing that he was slowed down, Juefan only took a step and turned into 5 images of himself. Sneering, the youth grinned. Think you can act tough with such a base-level killing move? The youth's sword turned into 5 and struck each figure down. But at that moment, Juefan's voice came from behind him. Nice sword skill. Too bad you met me. The youth jumped in fright. When did he get behind me? In this moment of imminent danger, he stabbed backwards. The sword art's aim was perfect, targeting Juefan's chest. Juefan looked down calmly, with slight praise in his heart. Too bad it's over. Whoosh! Juefan ignored the sword going for his chest and slashed at the youth's waist. If this continued it would end with Juefan being gravely wounded and the youth dead. A round for a kill, worth it. Ding! Juefan slashed with full power, but a metal screech echoed and Savage Moon bounced back. He squinted as his heart was in a panic. This punk has a spiritual armor besides the spiritual weapon. But the timing didn't even let him think. The youth's sword was getting dangerously close to his chest. In this wound for a kill scenario, his opponent would come unharmed while he would be too wounded to continue fighting. Damn it, I miscalculated this time. Juefan secretly cursed and used the Savage Moon's rebound to save himself. Not for the life of him did he think this freakin' punk to be this rich. Even an elder from Hell Valley had a single demonic treasure at best. But this punk here was wielding one while wearing another. Who the hell is he? Bam! With no more time to think, Juefan's Savage Moon and the golden sword struck each other. With a loud sound, Juefan flew back due to the force. The blood in his chest flowed erratically and forced him to spew blood. He hit the dirt and the Savage Moon clanked next to him in 2. His brow shivered as he turned solemn. He has a 4th grade spiritual armor on him that my blood infant can't get through. The only way to hurt him was with Savage Moon. But Savage Moon is now in pieces. This was the first time since his rebirth that Juefan met such a danger to his life. The youth was in the 7th layer of bone tempering stage, had a spiritual weapon, had a spiritual armor, and even profound ranked martial arts. I can't punch through his defense and I can only take a beating. But the worst part was, the youth used all his power against someone weaker. Everyone was afraid of the serious types. This will make it even harder for him to make any mistakes for me to exploit. How do I fight him? Juefan stared down the figure while his forehead ran cold with sweat. Yet who'd have known that the youth's mental state mirrored his, maybe even more terrified. The youth was known as a genius among geniuses in his clan. He learned the sword all his life and never lost. But against Juefan, who was weaker, he was one move away from dying even when he exerted his all. If not for the spiritual armor, he'd be dead. Dead from a man weaker than him by a stage. He just couldn't get over this. He was an exceptional genius who could defeat a peak bone-tempering expert in a single move. He was the clan's successor, how could? The youth's brow was sweating bullets and gnashed his teeth at Zhuofan. Brother, what is your name? Zhuofan was startled and saw the change in the youth's eyes. Guessing he wouldn't keep on wanting to kill them, he replied, Zhuofan. I'll remember you. We'll finish this the next time we meet. That youth sheathed his sword, took his burrowing mouse, and was about to leave. Zhuofan rushed to say, wait. The youth stopped. What is it? Dare I ask, brother, are you also here for the diamond sand? The youth stared at Zhuofan. What if I am, what if I'm not? Zhuofan smiled. If not, then let's part ways. If you are, want to work together? Work together? The youth frowned and took a long look at the two. How? Not even the three of us are enough to steal one speck of diamond sand. Not long back, this youth viewed them as nothing more than insects, but his words just now showed his respect for Zhuofan's strength as someone equal to him. Zhuofan grinned inside. We can negotiate like this. Brother has a burrowing mouse, so you plan to avoid fighting them. The youth smiled, so we had the same idea. I see why you wanted this guy. But this burrowing mouse is mine. What can you bring if we team up? The correct way of using the burrowing mouse. Zhuofan continued with a smile. How is brother going to use it to get the diamond sand? The youth squinted, and replied with another question. How about you? Dig a tunnel, wait for the diamond sand to erupt, and we steal some. Xuaningxiang spoke out of turn. But her response only earned the laughter of the two until her face went red. She glared. Why are you laughing? Am I wrong? The youth shook his head. Lady, they have a profound heaven expert, so how could it work? You'll be caught before you even make a move. Zhuofan nodded. In any case, my silly sister raised an option we definitely must avoid. What about you? Xuaningxiang glared at Zhuofan for making fun of her, but her face became red again for some other reason. The youth spoke simply. Easy. The diamond sand is pushed by the deep earth and comes out as a spring. I will have the burrowing mouse dig a small tunnel from the main course to direct a part of the diamond sand to me. Zhuofan clapped and Xuaningxiang praised the brilliance of it. Great plan. The youth smiled with pride, but Zhuofan shook his head. If I were you, this would also be the best plan. The youth frowned. You have a better way then? Ha ha ha, of course. Why would I work with you if I didn't? Zhuofan smiled as he continued. Your plan won't earn you even 1,000th. Since there are so many types of earth layers beneath us, the diamond sand will be stuck along the way and you will get even less. What's your idea then? The youth stared at him. With a mysterious smile, Zhuofan stuck out his chin. If brother believes me, I can get all of it, leaving nothing to Hell Valley. We will later split it evenly. What do you say? How can that be? The youth watched them in shock, but Zhuofan was confident. My skill is making impossible possible. This got the youth to recall Zhuofan's close call in killing him and nodded. Fine, I believe you. How do we do it? Splendid. Zhuofan laughed. We are now partners. How should I address brother? Xia Tianyang. The youth spoke loud and clear. Zhuofan frowned. Xia, you mean you're from the 7 noble houses, Sword Marquis abode. Waving his hand, Xia Tianyang smiled vaguely. But they all figured out even if Zhuofan didn't get to finish. Xuaningxiang watched the youth for a long time in shock. Second-rate clans like the Shui clan relied on the protection of the 7 noble houses. Just that she never got to leave Blue Expanse City, not once in her life, and the only 7 noble houses people she saw were from Hell Valley. Oh, Brother Zhua, what house do you come from that you're so amazing? Xuaningxiang couldn't help but wonder as Zhuofan was so young and yet no less powerful than Xia Tianyang. In fact, Zhuofan could have struck this disciple of Sword Marquis abode dead if not for the spiritual armor. Thus, Zhuofan had to be from a special background. Xia Tianyang also turned to Zhuo Fan with eager eyes. He wanted to know just which house gave birth to such a monster. Zhuo Fan shook his head with a smile. I'm no one important, just a small steward in the Luo clan of Wingaze City. Steward? Luo clan? The two were shocked. Luo clan? Never heard of it. Ha ha ha, it's quite normal for you to not know. Luo clan is just a third-rate clan. Zhuo Fan smiled. This time, both of them eyed him with suspicion. They would never believe that a trifling clan could raise such an expert. Not even the imperial family and the 7 houses had many like him. Brother, if what you said is true, you are welcome to join Sword Marquis' abode. Xia Tianyang's eyes shined as he patted Zhuo Fan's shoulder. It mattered little if Zhuo Fan was being honest, he was an unpolished gem nonetheless. With Zhuo Fan joining the Sword Marquis' abode, the Luo clan would one day be a second-rate clan, maybe even a peak second-rate with the house's assistance. The Sword Marquis' abode would at that time grow in power even more. For one of the 7 noble houses to personally ask for a clan to sign an agreement with them would stir all other small clans into crying if they found out. But Zhuo Fan only disdained this act. Knowing where Xia Tianyang was going with this, Zhuo Fan smiled. He, you're late. I already signed an alliance agreement with Veiled Dragon Pavilion. But if Sword Marquis' abode wants to sign a similar agreement, I'd be happy to oblige. What? Zhuo Fan just dropped a bomb that shocked the other two to their cores. Alliance agreement? Veiled Dragon Pavilion? Why would Veiled Dragon Pavilion do this for a small clan? Xuaningxiang and Xia Tianyang took long skeptical looks at Zhuo Fan. From Zhuo Fan's reaction, it could be said he spoke the truth. But this news was too outrageous, even worse than if the heaven and earth switched places. The 7 noble houses could stand shoulder to shoulder with the imperial family. If they discovered a clan with great potential, signing a vassal agreement was more appropriate. But an alliance agreement only ever happened between the 7 noble houses. Yet this gap in power between the house and the clan breached by an alliance agreement made it look like the emperor went out to a beggar and called him brother. Such an act would make them, the 7 houses and the emperor, look like charitable folks. But this was fundamentally impossible. Just how did Zhuo Fan do it? Xia Tianyang watched Zhuo Fan closely but shook his head in the end. Brother, it's fine if you don't want to say it. But do you have to lie to us so openly? Xuaningxiang rolled her eyes while whining. Brother Zhuo, we told you everything about us, while you still keep your secret. This is not proper. Zhuo Fan shook his head. The truth was taken as lies by others and he did not know how to respond. All right, Brother Zhuo, let's forget it. We'll be going our separate ways when this is over anyway, with little chance of meeting again. There's no need to know everything about each other. Then, Xia Tianyang clapped. We had better listen to Brother Zhuo's plan. Zhuo Fan nodded with a smile. He liked Xia Tianyang's attitude a lot. There was no eternal enemies and friends in the world, only benefits. They were friends now, thanks to a mutual goal, but tomorrow they might be on opposite sides. There was no need to know too much about each other. Quite the contrary, it would be best to hide one's secret and protect one's identity. Only Xuaningxiang pouted. Since we were brought together by fate, why can't we be friends? Zhuo Fan and Xia Tianyang just smiled. Zhuo Fan then retrieved a piece of paper from his ring and began to write on it. 15 minutes later, a strange design adorned it. Xuaningxiang was looking puzzled, while Xia Tianyang was feeling more and more astonished with each brushwork. This. Xia Tianyang watched the finished design in shock. A first-grade array? But I've never seen this one in my life, and I've seen my fair share. Zhuo Fan secretly nodded. Xia Tianyang was from the 7 houses, and just like Long Kuei, he had learned of arrays from a young age. But few parts of this array were from an ancient era and not seen today. Thus, he could not understand the array completely. Xia Tianyang studied the design for a long time, then looked at Zhuo Fan with a firm gaze. You're from the 7 houses, no, maybe even imperial. He wasn't certain, because the more he got to know Zhuo Fan, the more Zhuo Fan's talent scared him. So much that he couldn't ascertain which house Zhuo Fan belonged to. He even felt the 7 houses couldn't have raised such a monstrous talent. Then the only one above the houses was the imperial family. Zhuo Fan shook his head. I already said it. It's up to you to believe or not, but now we're working together. Xia Tianyang gave a strained nod. Follow me. Zhuo Fan took out a map and walked ahead with the other 2 close behind. After half a day, Zhuo Fan reached a stream. He gave the area a once-over and nodded. Xuaningxiang and Xia Tianyang were filled with curiosity. This place was even farther away from the Golden Spring Pool, and near the border to the second area in the Allbeast Mountain Range. Allbeast Mountain Range was split into 3 areas based on how dangerous the spiritual beasts were. The first area was the safest, with only first and second level spiritual beasts roaming around, and the seldom third level. These were suited for foundation establishment and chi condensation cultivators to catch as spirit animals. And the Golden Spring Pool was in this area. The second area was the treasure hunting area, a place where third and fourth level spiritual beasts came and went as they pleased. Entering it while being below the bone tempering stage equaled death. But this area was filled with spiritual beasts, an important place from where strong experts got their spirit animals. The third area was deemed as the danger zone. The spiritual beasts here were of 5th and 6th level. Even a radiant stage expert would die here. As such, if one didn't have absolute confidence in his power, he would not step foot here. Zhuo Fan was now standing near the border between the first and second areas. Once they entered the second area, Xuaningxiang, with her chi condensation cultivation, would find death lurking at every corner. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and nodded. This is it. Xuaningxiang and Xia Tianyang were puzzled, but Zhuo Fan waved. Brother Tianyang, I'll be counting on your burrowing mouse to dig a tunnel to the Golden Spring Pool, then keep digging along this pattern. Zhuo Fan pointed on the map. This is where the Golden Spring Pool is. What? Xia Tianyang said, startled. For it to dig to the Golden Spring Pool is not a problem, but for it to arrange spirit stones and set an array, it will take more than 1,000 trips. Correct, 3221 to be exact. Zhuo Fan nodded. Burrowing mouse is small and can only carry 1 spirit stone at a time. This means it will take 3,221 trips to set the array around the Golden Spring Pool. Xia Tianyang gasped and Xuaningxiang went slack-jawed. You want to work it to death. Even the burrowing mouse seemed to understand and collapsed on Xia Tianyang's shoulder. Shit, this punk is after my life. I can't do this idiotic thing or it'll be the death of me. Burrowing mouse shut its eyes. Even when it fell from the shoulder and landed on a rock it wouldn't open them, though its twitching gave it away. Zhuo Fan smirked and ignored the critter while talking to its owner. Time is of the essence. Diamond sand could erupt at any minute, so get your critter step on it. Is there no other way? Xia Tianyang asked with a solemn expression. Zhuo Fan smiled. If you can snatch the diamond sand from right under their noses, then be my guest. Xia Tianyang watched the unmoving critter on the ground with pity. Zhuo Fan added an incentive. There's a lot more burrowing mouse where he comes from, but as for diamond sand, he, only if you listen to me will you make a killing. Spurred on, Xia Tianyang's eyes flashed and he nodded. Fine, it's just a first-level spirit animal anyway. Who would need it? Ha ha ha. The burrowing mouse jumped to its feet and pleaded to its owner with teary eyes. Master, how can you be so cruel? I'll end up working to the bone. But Xia Tianyang was too far gone to notice its gesture, as he and Zhuo Fan looked like demons with their manic grins at the poor critter. Xuaningxiang watched the cuddly and pitiful little one and her heart swelled with love. She hugged it and comforted it as she glared at the 2 demons. But why would any of them care about a critter when diamond sand was at stake? At once, under the stately figure of its master, Xia Tianyang, the burrowing mouse was compelled to dig to Golden Spring Pool. In 15 minutes, a new pattern was beginning to emerge underneath the Golden Spring Pool, all according to Zhuo Fan's grand design. Yet the elder stationed at the Golden Spring Pool was oblivious to everything that was happening right underneath his nose. This was only the beginning for the oppressed burrowing mouse, which was forced to work itself into the ground. The only time the trio saw it was when it came for the next spirit stone. It could take it at first, but once it was finished with its first 100 stones, it was dog-tired that even its fur was slick with sweat. Around the 500th trip, the critter was gasping. Xuaningxiang's heart was bleeding, wanting to give the poor guy a rest. But Zhuo Fan and Xia Tianyang stood like demons, just like a landlord overlooking his peasants, making sure to leave them dead tired. Especially Xia Tianyang, having nothing but diamond sand in his head, he had no time to mind trifles like getting his spirit animal killed from overworking. This resulted with the burrowing mouse making trip after trip and Xuaningxiang giving it a sip of water on the sly out of pity, the only thing that she could do to ease its hell. In the eyes of the little guy, she became a goddess. It was starting to hate itself for choosing poorly. Its owner just heard Demon King Zhuo Fan's 2 cents and was hooked into sending it to its death. When it came out for the final time, it was close to breathing its last. Xuaningxiang hugged it and consoled it, letting it feel the joy of a survivor. Zhuo Fan smiled at Xia Tianyang. "See, I told you it'd be fine." Xia Tianyang sighed, "Yeah, but this guy would hate me to the bone after this. No choice. If we wanted to have the array in place within 3 days, the only choice was its sacrifice." Zhuo Fan shrugged. If he'd really died of work, then it wouldn't be treated as a first-level spiritual beast. Zhuo Fan stood up and his hand flashed as he deployed another array on the stream's bank. With a hand sign, the spirit stones in the ground lit up. An invisible ripple spread out and the 2 arrays, thousands of miles from each other, were now connected. At almost the same time, the elder at the Golden Spring pool shivered and opened his eyes with suspicion. "What's going on? Why am I restless all of a sudden?" Next to the stream, Zhuo Fan revealed a wicked grin. "Only one more push." When the diamond sand erupts, Hell Valley's elder would get the shock of his life. He.